Hey everybody, it's David here at Grand Lake, Michigan. Not in Grand Lake, but at Grand Lake, Michigan, which is in the county of Presque Isle, about 30 minutes or so from Alpena and Lake Huron. Here, getting out of the final weeks of the heat of Dallas, and week 5 finished. I have 2 weeks left. In week 5, we pivoted to team leadership from individual leadership. Many of the principles that you'll see are the same, but I always like to think in team leadership, the price of poker is a bit higher because the things that you do in that have the potential to impact many more people. Um, and so that's what we talked about this week. Week 6 is all about change. And it's about change. It's about cultural connection and how to manage cultural change. And I want you to make sure that you watch my video in the discussion forum this week. You'll be able to see it after you post yours, because I talk about a change strategy that when I've taught courses on change in particular, I use quite a bit. So hopefully that'll provide some help and assistance to you. Um, One of the things that you'll see this week on cultural transformation happens in organizations that are acquisitive. And by that, I mean one company acquiring another company. When I was at ConAgra, I was on many acquisition teams as we would go out and buy other companies. And the biggest, most challenging issues we faced was integrating new employees, employees who are coming from a different culture, and particularly if it was a privately held business. So we were a major publicly traded multi-billion dollar company, and we would go out and buy um, companies where the CEO knew everyone who worked on the line and all of those, because it was just a smaller privately held company. And so the challenge of taking a privately held company and their employees into a much larger corporation created or could create some cultural issues. And that was some of the biggest challenges that we faced. And so, what I would do is, particularly in the sales and marketing organization, I would focus even more critically on whether or not someone could match up with us from a cultural perspective than a competency perspective. And so you think about that. Most of the time, you say, okay, I want the best, highest talented individual in that particular discipline. Well, sometimes you can get the most talented person who knew the X's and the O's of that particular area, but couldn't get along with anybody else in the organization. And when that happens, it brings down the performance and the productivity of the entire organization. Or it could. I don't want to appear too dramatic, but it could. And so a cultural connection for new individuals was of a much higher priority for me in those areas. And it takes more than this whole cultural connection takes more than just giving the new employee the latest employee manual and saying, read that, and you'll know all there is to know about us. And so it's much more than a manual as you look at those things. So again, week 5 in the books, 2 weeks to go. If you have any questions about this particular lesson coming up, and I always like it, it's on change, let me know. Take care.